Good morning, children. This is the last part of chapter 6. It deals with the non conventional energy resources. Now, the non conventional, I had spoken to you about it earlier. Non conventional energy resources are those resources which are generally not being used much, where they haven't been tapped much, and they have not been underutilization for a very long period of time. They have they have been used for the past 25-30 years only. Now, why are we looking towards the non-conventional energy resources? Why are we not satisfied with whatever type of resources we have with us? It's for the simple reason that the population is growing, urbanization is happening, industrialization is increasing, and the supply of energy by coal, petroleum, or diesel or natural gas is not enough. We need more and more energy, and for that, we need to look at other avenues. And the other avenues are nothing but non conventional energy resources. Plus, the mineral fuels, that is coal, petroleum, and natural gas, causes a lot of pollution, and the rate at which we are using them, they will not last us for a very long time. Therefore, we need to diversify ourselves. We need to start looking at other aspects of nature where we can use the non-conventional energy resources. The first one we're going to talk about is the solar energy. Solar, as the name suggests, of course, sun is the ultimate source of energy, and therefore we tap that energy, and that tapped energy of the sun is called as solar energy. Even if we are not tapping that energy, whatever energy resources we are using, whatever food we are eating, they all have energy from the sun. Directly or indirectly, we are utilizing that same energy. Now, as far as the solar energy tapping is concerned, we have solar cells, solar batteries, solar cooker, water heaters, and all that. Rather than I explaining it to you, I think you know better that solar energy is being used in a lot of different kind of gadgets like calculators and watches, and these watches and calculators are running on solar energy only. Now, what are the advantages? Why are we giving so much of credit to solar energy? Why are we giving so much of importance to solar energy? For the basic reason, they are renewable. That means we will keep using them and they will never finish. That is inexhaustible. Now, when we say you keep using them, they will never finish. Like, for example, if I take a kg of coal and I try to burn a fire from that kg of coal, that kg of coal will be utilized for the energy, and then after that 1 kg of coal has been utilized, I will only be left with ash and smoke. That means I cannot reuse it. But in the case of solar energy, the energy itself is not being utilized, so it is renewable. It will never finish, that is inexhaustible. Of course, if it finishes, then humankind finishes and we don't need any energy anymore. It is environment friendly because it does not cause any pollution. And though the infrastructure construction might be expensive, but in the long run, it falls cheaper. Reason being, we don't have to buy it again and again. And it does not cause any noise pollution. Plus, it is decentralized. That means there is not one space where we have to use it. We can use it anywhere, wherever we want to use it. But since it has advantages, it will also have disadvantages. It can only be harnessed during the daytime because the sun shines at that time only. It requires inverters and storage batteries to store the energy which has been produced during the daytime. And large area is required to set up the solar plant or the solar panels, and the amount of production as compared to coal or petroleum is very low. Now we have a Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. It was launched in 2010 with an aim that it will produce approximately 20,000 megawatt by 2022. Though the work after 2014 was too fast, and it is providing 5 times more from 2014 to 2017, and it has surpassed its mission by 2018. That means by 2022 it was supposed to produce the energy which it had started producing in 2018. So 4 years ahead of its deadline. So this one mission is providing a lot of energy to us these days. Next non-conventional source of energy is the wind energy. Of course, the energy by the wind. This energy is produced by windmills, and when blades of the mill rotate by the force of the wind, it drives the turbines producing electric current. And the place where these windmills are installed and electricity is being produced, that is called as a wind farm. Advantages again, eco-friendly, free gift of nature. We don't have to pay for it again and again. It is inexhaustible. It is a renewable. It is available day and night. Though the area covered is more, but still agriculture can be done below the mills. I don't know whether you've seen a wind farm or not, but it's huge poles with a lot of blades running. I'll be sending a picture of it also to you. And the area underneath the windmills can be used for the purpose of agriculture. Now, what is the disadvantage? It causes a lot of noise pollution, and wind strength is not constant. Sometimes the winds will be more, sometimes the wind will be soft, breezy. So the amount of electric current will not be constant at all times, and it will not be uniform. And of course, when you look out, the vision pollution is also too much. So wind energy, advantages and disadvantages are right in front of you. There is one more disadvantage, and that is wind energy or wind farms can only be installed in desert areas or in the coastal areas. It is not decentralized. So because the wind speed will only be found, or high wind speed will only be found in desert areas or along the coastlines. So that is a disadvantage of wind energy. Next one is your tidal energy, that is the energy which is produced by the tides. That is the rise and fall of the ocean waters, and it occurs every 12 hours, and the water is collected behind a barrage during a high tide and forced through a hydro turbine during a low tide. In India, we can produce this kind of energy in Gulf of Khambhat, Gulf of Kutch, which has the potential of tidal energy. And we are also trying to produce the same kind of energy in the Sundarbans. It is being harnessed, and along with Krishna and Godavari deltas. Advantages, inexhaustible again, environment friendly, no fuel is required, it is durable, and we can predict the rise and fall of tides. Disadvantages, only a few locations are there, because it can only be produced in those areas where the tides occur. And the actual generation time period is very short. That means when the tide will be coming in and when the tide will be going out, only at that point of time the force of the water can make the turbines run. So the production time is very less, and it can only happen near seas or oceans. But the consumption areas where electricity is required by industries or urban areas will be very far away from this place. So the transmission will become very, very expensive and difficult. Next is your geothermal energy. That means the heat which is present inside the surface of the earth. If we use that heat to produce electric current, that is called as your geothermal energy. That is the energy produced by the heat present inside the earth is called geothermal energy, and this heat is produced by the fusion and fission of the radioactive minerals present inside the surface of the earth. Hot springs and geysers are what we are talking about here, and you all have an idea what a hot spring is and what a geyser is. I'll attach a YouTube link which will show you what a hot spring or a geyser can be. Advantages, again, renewable, inexhaustible, eco-friendly, does not occupy too much space, and it's not dependent on weather conditions. Disadvantages, only few sites with potential total generation is very low. It can affect the seismic stability of that region. Of course, actually what happens is, to tap the geothermal energy, we have to dig two borings and we put two pipes. Through one pipe, we put water, and through the other pipe, the steam comes out, which makes the turbine move. So when we are digging these two pipes inside the surface of the earth, it might disturb the earth's balance. And that is what I mean by saying that it can affect the seismic stability of that region, and it might just might give rise to earthquakes. We have this kind of geothermal energy power plants in Puga Valley in Jammu and Kashmir, in Tatapani in Chhattisgarh, and Manikaran in Himachal Pradesh. These are a few examples where this kind of energy is being produced. Then we have the next one, which is biogas, which is also called as gobar gas in many villages. This is a very, very innovative way of creating energy, and this is actually produced by decomposition of organic waste in limited air or oxygen or no oxygen, that is anaerobic respiration. This decomposition happens in a closed tank producing methane and alcohol, and the residue left can be used as a good manure. The gases methane, hydrogen, carbon dioxide can be combined with oxygen, and this allows biogas to be used as fuel. Gobar gas plants using cow dung have been installed in many villages. So instead of putting organic material, you can put gobar gas also and utilize it. Advantages, of course, again, renewable, because the waste will never be stopped producing and therefore you can use it again and again. It helps because you're using the waste to produce this energy. So it helps in the cleanliness of villages. That means you will not be putting or dumping garbage anywhere. You'll be using the garbage to produce energy. Then the residue provides manure for agriculture. It is much cheaper. Recycling of waste reduces pollution and spreads of diseases. Fuel is generated, which puts less pressure on forest, because they will otherwise, the villagers will cut trees to produce fire. Disadvantages, it's very expensive. Some people don't like to cook food by the gas generated by waste. That is their orthodox thinking, and it requires a lot of space, and it definitely emits bad smell. So that is a problem with biogas or gobar gas plants. The last is the nuclear energy or the nuclear power. We know that we have radioactive minerals like uranium, thorium and beryllium. They are utilized to produce nuclear power. Fusion and fission of these atoms is what we use it as. And the first nuclear reactor of India was Apsara. Now we have 21 of them. And we have Tarapur near Mumbai was the first nuclear power station. Now we have 7 of them. Advantages, very less pollution, consumes very small quantities to produce large amount of energy. It is cheaper in large quantities if large quantities is produced. Disadvantages, radioactive contamination is possible of soil, water and air, all three. It will cause deforestation because we need to clear the land. Then after the nuclear atoms or radioactive minerals are being used, the waste which is produced is a big problem for disposal, because it will contain some kind of radioactive minerals and that might harm humans, animals, soil, water and air, and therefore it causes chemical pollution, and discharge of the water will cause chemical pollution. So nuclear power, though, will produce a lot of energy at one go, but will also cause a lot of problems. So therefore, we have to be very, very sensible in using nuclear power. Accidents can also occur, which can create a lot of problems and harm the human as well as animal life. That's all for now. This is the last of the video of the energy resources.